Drowning in data but starving for insights? That's where charts come in. And in this video, you're going to learn how to make line charts, area charts, and mixed bar line charts so that your users can immediately grasp trends, make comparisons, and spot outliers. So let's take a look at this outline for what we're going to cover here in the video. So first, we're going to get an overview of this plugin. Then we are going to install it. Next, we'll set up a line chart. Although before doing that, we're going to look at a non-bubble example of some data just to remind ourselves, I know everyone's at a little bit different thinking level in terms of what data can get pushed into a UI and appear that way. So we're going to look at a really simple example I think most people are familiar with. We're going to take that same data from that example and put it into the chart plugin. And then we will, and that'll be static data. And then we're going to do a second example of a data source as a dynamic data source, because that's most likely where your data is coming from. Next, we're going to look at styling options. We're going to change the chart to an area chart using the same data source. And then we are going to do a mixed chart from bar and line. Why use this? Well, we'll discuss that. And we're going to put in our two data sources for that chart there. Lastly, we're going to wrap up with a bonus of how to make sparklines, aka these mini trend lines that you see here on a chart like this. Those are pretty cool, so stick around to the end to catch that. This is a sponsored video, and based on what is out there for charts, these stylings on some of these other ones out there that I've seen just don't do it for me. So I am always happy to promote what I believe to be the best solution out there in terms of making someone's app look awesome. And so that is for you, on behalf of the viewers, to give you a really great solution here. This plugin creator, TechBlocks, they have been around since 2017, well established, great customer service. So let's dive into the options of the plugins. So first thing I'm going to note here is just the sheer number of different styles of charts that you can choose from. Really a lot. And we're not going to click into every single one of them, but you are going to get to see the highlights now. So we got line charts, area charts, bar charts, pie charts, donut charts, funnel charts, which I think is pretty cool that they also have this layout like this, because that's my mind works to visualize that. Radar charts, one of my favorite for things with multi characteristics about them. So engineering, sales, administration, marketing, these are businesses. This could also be athletes for speed, ability to catch or throw or hit or shoot or whatever. And then geographic based charts, which I'll note go down to country levels. You just need to enter the country level so it works across all different countries, and then even down to metro levels, which is pretty cool. That stuff's all over in the documentation where you can dig and know that. And then we'll wrap up here with the tree map chart. Now this is one of those ones that just by a visualization you can see, wow, the population of this one, or maybe this is not population but some kind of income related to something, just by sheer visualization you can see right away what's going on, and you really can't get to the crux of an issue without a clear picture of what's going on. And so this is one of those great charts to be able to do that and tell the story in the data. Let's dive in and let's work on our examples here of what is it to build charts. Well, to build charts, you just really need two lists of data, as long as they are the same amount of items in your list. We can take that, we can insert a chart, and we'll see here that on the x-axis, the horizontal one down here, we see days from 0 to 10, and we see conversions on the y-axis. Now, it works exactly the same here when we take this list of data and, again, x-axis days and y-axis conversions. Why two charts? Why look at it both ways? Well, just to really imprint in our thinking as we move forward that it kind of doesn't matter the format. Don't worry about the format. Just think about the two lists. So that's the key takeaway here. So now let's head over and install the plugin, and we'll get it going for seeing how it actually works. So do a search for premium charts. Okay, so there we have it, premium charts bundle, and go ahead and hit subscribe. And just a note on these types of plugins. So how I like to look at it is, number one, I'm super happy that Bubble and most plugin developers offer a monthly thing, because Bubble prorates plugin subscriptions, meaning on this one, you'll pay less than 50 cents a day to try it out and see if it works for you. Next, the way that I really think about building apps is that you are essentially encountering an obstacle or challenge, and then you are addressing it. Then you have another obstacle or challenge, and then you are addressing it. And when there's a solution that addresses a challenge or obstacle really well, meaning it looks good, it's easy to set up and follow with a video like this. You don't have to go out and, go back and forth messaging 3 people to hire someone and do all that stuff. That if you can just, boom, put your solution together for that challenge or obstacle that you are facing and then move ahead, because of the volume of those types of, things that you'll encounter as you're building something, it really is my recommendation to just find what you believe to be a great solution that your end users will love, and then go from there. Next, head over to some kind of page you're going to build it on, or a test page. Do a search for charts. We can see here bar, line, area. So we'll drag that in, and then right away, I'm just going to go back over to this. We're going to see the exact same data get put into here. So we can just kind of have that continuity of, okay, we have some data from here, then we'll have some data going here. Now we have this second series. I'll go ahead and fill it out. I'll just make up a little bit of a change on this. And we'll see this like that. So we'll start with 2 of these, and then we'll just kind of we'll work our way through. Again, we've looked at our non-bubble example. We're working with the data source, and then we'll get to a dynamic data source. Okay, so you can see, actually, I'll put these as bars. Oh yeah, first things first, decide what type of chart you want from here. So I'm going to go line, and then now we will see basically the same chart that we saw over here. So we can see it's kind of going up and to the right in this manner. And there we can see that same one. The blue one is the series 1. Okay, so what type of things might you want to change for this? Well, we'll start here for the series for whatever you're going to name for it. So I think this one was conversions. And then on the series 2, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one off for now. Other things, there is a tooltip that shows up. Let's take a look at this tooltip, so we can see that updated to conversions, and it's just kind of by default it's on there. Now, if you want to remove that, or if you want to do some custom styling for it, and that's what I mentioned before, custom styling, we'll get into it. It is set up so much so that, check this example out, you can hover on something like that and get all this amazing information about something that is related to the one piece of data. So it's kind of like an expander type of thing. So check out the custom tooltips there. Here you can see the styling difference. So the way to set this up to customize a tooltip, if you want to, is to go down to this custom tooltip ID. I'm just going to say this is a test. What you would do is you would add in a group, and you would give that same, this is a test. We'll just get some kind of color on that, and we'll see that this one take over. It's not going to look great, but the point is that now if I even delete this, but as long as I still have this is a test in here, it's the way to turn it off. Basically, if you're not a fan of it, you can turn it off. Okay, so that brings us through the static part. Let's get some dynamic data in there, shall we? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my database. I'm going to do a search for my browser tabs, and I'm going to search by date, descending no. And so in this browser tabs, I'm going to go with, on this one, the date. I'm going to copy that same expression, drop it into here. So this is what this is charting over time, is basically we're starting at January 1st, and we're seeing how much our browser tabs, our number of open browser tabs increase over time. Nothing that any of us know anything about, right? Okay, so we can see here, well, and actually, when it comes to date, we're going to want to do a formatting on this. So this is a very common thing that you're going to want to use and set up. So here, I'm going to go with custom on this, and I'm going to go with month, day, and that's going to put this out to a really nice looking list. Boom. Okay, so I'm liking that, and that takes us to now here. We've done our data source. We've we've looked at some of the styling options. So we can see here like color and things like that. We've looked at the custom tooltip. There's a few other things I want to show you right out of the gates. Obviously, on each of these, you can just click the documentation to see more information about them, etc., etc. But the things that I think are some of the most valuable, so this one here, this horizontal dashed line, if you change that to no, it's going to make this a solid line. If you change this to 0, it's going to take that whole line away. And then as that's reloading, I just want to show down here on this point radius that let's say you want to try a different size on it. So let's go with 8 or something like that. And then we'll see this point radius get larger. Cool. Okay, so those are kind of the styling options that we can see here. So that wraps it up for styling. We're going to move on now to area charts. And area charts, we're going to use the exact same data. We're going to update this to area. And I know I've left this as a different section because, look, it's a different chart, but an area chart is a lot like a line chart where it's colored in underneath it. Let's say that maybe we don't want any, we like the area chart. We want to do something like this. We don't want any dots on it. We just want it to be a smooth line. So that's how you would have that. And again, plenty more options. If you want to experiment, play around with different values here, there's probably, say 30 to 60 different settings here that you could play around with just to get the things exactly so. But hopefully those ones highlighted will kind of lead you on the way for getting the main visuals set up. Cool, so that does it for area charts. Let's go ahead and move on into the mixed chart and just head over to chart and do a search for mixed bar line area. What I've got set up here, so let's take a look at our data. So let's imagine a SaaS app where you have the number of signups and the number of churned users, and we're just going to pull that data into here by doing a search for the SaaS stuff and taking the date label, which is a list of text. Now this is created date sorted by no. One of those important points that might be the last time I bring it up, but I can't emphasize it enough, that you want to sort both your Y and X values by the same amount. Because when we think about this here, and you're like pulling in data, you want to pull it in a way that you're controlling the sorting, so that the fourth item and the fourth item are both lined up and they correspond to each other, which they don't by default out of Bubble's database. So just be aware of that. So that's what's going on here. We're looking at our number of signups, and then we're looking at our number of churned users. In this case, the y-axis ID, which we'll see in a second, is A. The other y one is B, which let's take a look, because we have two sides of this. Now, I want to point out that by default, the way that the chart will work is that it'll put the numbers of one series here and of the other series there. So let's go and take a look at how you might label that. So down here on the, let's see, y-axis B and y-axis A, just go ahead and add a space, and then whatever it is. So this is sign up, so I'm just using SU as a quick one, and then here space churned, and that is what determines this labeling here. But so we can see here, right, like if we were looking at stuff, we might want to see our full view. Okay, in December, our subscriptions were down, but not as many people churned. In January, maybe people reevaluated their stuff, but also people, signed up new. So we can just kind of get those insights on a mixed chart like this. Okay, so that's mixed charts. Now let's take a look at our bonus, sparklines. What are these? I've got a setup here with some text, and this is the exact same line we saw in our very first example where we had this set up here. But the thing I want to point out is that we have more stuff on it, right? So how do you customize it? And more importantly, how do you get it to automatically turn green or red based upon its trend? So first things first, head over. You probably want to, for sure, add something here, any text here to just remove the tooltip. Then on the tick labels, hit no for those. So that is going to change the labels here, the 0 through 25 and the dates. So we can see that go away. Then next up, we want to make this horizontal. If you change this -1 from yes to no, it'll just make it a straight line. What you're actually looking for to turn that one off is a 0 out here. And then we can say 0 here on these lines, and that will remove those. So now we're just kind of left with what we're wanting to get in our example. Where is it? Here. We're close to it. And oh yeah, of course, let's go and turn our point radius to 0. And that's going to get that trend line. So now, to continue on with our bonus example, let's think about this. What conditional do we want to put here? Well, we want to check basically between the first one and the last one, is it above 0 or not? Because that means it's trending in a positive direction, right? So we want our y value, our number of open browser tabs. Are we going up in more browser tabs, or are we going down? That's really what's the question here. So we'll take the last one, and then we'll do a search for the browser tabs again, and we'll make sure to sort by date. Descending no. Let's just double check that that's the way that one is. Yes, it is. Okay. So then we'll look at all the items browser tabs, and we'll take the first one. So we have one minus the other, and then the question is that greater than 0? And if it is, then we're going to change the series color, and we're going to change it to green. So what this means is that it's trending upwards. Now remember this example here, because what I have data going from, basically one way to another. But I'm going to do some stuff, and even if it doesn't fully make sense, I'm going to show you first that this does turn green. But then I'm going to take this and I'm going to sort it the opposite way. And the reason for that, so I'm going to delete this out. Then I'm going to change the color here. I'm going to change it to red because I don't want to bother us with that one. We're just looking for the case where it's going down, right? So if the last item, in this case, well, let's actually look at the data values here. So our last item is 2. Remember, I was referring to this because we're just swapping, we're taking a row of data and we're flip-flopping the direction that it goes in. So it's the same as this data, up, down. So now our last item, instead of being 23 minus 2, which gave us this positive green, we're now looking at 2 minus 23. So let's finish the conditional on that. And if it is less than 0, have it turn red. Now, we'd also want to update this one to go from yes to no. So because we have a conditional that's controlling the color, but this is the actual data that gets plotted along here. And actually, I do believe maybe I would want to update this one as well so that it's fully, yeah. Okay, so there is how you make these little trend lines. So if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more tips about Bubble, and I'll see you in the next one.